This is an update, amendment, a full-on overhaul of the old CSP lighting tutorial that I made. Very rough tutorial being a very rough word. 2 steps that you need to make sure that you've done before getting into all of this. Going to settings on Content Manager. So settings, Content Manager tab, General. Third checkbox, Developer Mode. Make sure that's on. And then I think apps, Assetto Corsa apps, developer apps. Okay, I was wrong. It was three steps. And then custom shaders patch, general patch settings. Second subheader, watch configs for changes. Make sure that's checked as well. That lets us change the CSP settings that we have at the ext config on the go. With that said, go on to drive. For this, I'm using the SLS AMG GT3. I think this is a base game car with the Black Falcon SB Mobile Boss livery. I'm going to open up the folder real quick. So the 3 dots here in the corner, right above the drop down, click on it, click folder. It would bring up the cars folder itself. And then we select the appropriate skin folder. So SB Mobile. So for this one, I've already done some groundwork because I messed up a recording earlier. So we create a file, there's a comment ext_config.ini. And when you do that, the Windows is going to tell you that changing formats is going to mess up the files. Just say yes, you understand. And let me just bin this one. So I'm gonna delete these. So right now, what's important, what you want to listen to for now is these first 3 lines. Just gonna enter those out of the way. These lines is what's important to you. Meshes is what dictates which part of the car the game scans and then applies the color to. This part, second line, this is how the game detects the color in that area that you've designated. And then this third line is the properties of the light that it's going to put out. Okay. And with that said, we're going to have to open the skin DDS. So this one. In this case, this one. Each car has a different naming convention for its own liveries and stuff. So we're just gonna make that happen. So, and I'm using Photoshop as well since that's my preferred program and that's what I have as default. Then what we're gonna do is, in your app of choice, I don't know if other apps have this, but for Photoshop, click on Set Foreground Color, and then you're gonna have a dropper tool. Choose the color that you want. So for this tutorial, we're gonna be going for yellow, white, and the pink. I think that's a pink on the door. So first one is yellow. This. It should give you the hex code for it. And then you're going to copy that. And then go to this. I use this website. It's hex to Rgb Color Converter. I can link that down in the description as well. Paste that in. Convert to RGB. And what you want here is this part. Yeah, what you want here is this part, right? So RGB percent. So if it says 100%, it's 1. If it says 80%, it's 0.8. 0 is 0. And that should match with what color the car has on it. So it's just 0.1. I mean, no, 1. And then 0.8. And then 0. Put that in. And if we had saved now, nothing's gonna happen since we don't have the game up. So we're gonna put up the game. And once we have the game running, this is where the developer apps and developer mode is gonna come in. F7? Okay, that's F7. So I forgot that that's still there. But we're gonna ignore it for now, because those are the lines that I entered out of view, and those apply to the area around the car itself. But we're gonna get to that. That's for a later discussion. So I'm gonna open all apps, put that away. Let's pretend I never pulled it up. Scroll, so all apps, scroll down. It should be CSP apps and then objects inspector. Hold Alt and click to select an object. So in this case, we want to select the bonnet. And it's gonna give you the first line here, mesh. That's what you want. Click on it. It's gonna put it into your clipboard. I have to wait a bit since it's in full screen. Okay, bring up this. And that's what goes into the meshes because it says mesh here and then mesh here. That's what you want. So paste that in. And since we already figured out our color earlier from the dropper tool, so this is the color that the game's gonna search for, that the code's gonna search for. And then this third line is the color that it's gonna emit on that part. So if we just choose the same color, so yellow and then straight to yellow, if we hit save, it should work. So now you have that glow. And if you want it to go brighter, change the intensity to 100, it gets much brighter. You could add a bunch of zeros onto this, it will still work. It's gonna break some stuff though. So depending on what your livery wants, what your livery needs, it's up to you. But it really is dependent on what you want. So we got it on one surface, but what about the rest of the car? That's where the object inspector again comes in. We can just click cancel on that. And then the game freezes on me and then it crashes. So what we were going to do is that we were going to select the roof of the car. So pretty much we're going to be using the object inspector to select different parts of the car that we want to apply the light to. So for now, we're just going to try for the door, the hood, the left side door, the hood, and then the top of the car. So go back to F7 cam, zoom out. Okay, bring up the object inspector again. That's not it. Select that one, select the mesh again. Then we're gonna go back here. So the mesh names have to be in apostrophes and then separated by a comma. So it's apostrophe, mesh name, apostrophe, comma, and then the same apostrophe syntax and then so on. And if we hit save, you see the top of the car lights up as well. And now the start of this video, I think, or a few minutes earlier, I said we would choose 3 colors. And this is how this works. You're gonna copy these last 2 lines, the @CustomEmissive and @ParkingLights. Copy them, paste them underneath, change the channel 2 for a different color. And then we're gonna go back to our file for editing. You're gonna choose that pink fuchsia thing. I do not know what it's called. We're gonna select that, go back into our converter, convert to RGB. That's done loading up. We're just gonna plug it in. So it says 87%, so 0.87, and then 0, and then 48%, so 0.48. Copy that, paste that underneath. Maybe you want your branding to be a bit brighter. That's okay. We're gonna change the intensity on that, but we're gonna get back to it later. We're not gonna save it yet, since we said that we would work on the white parts of the car as well. So that's another channel 3 this time. And white appears in RGB as 111. I mean RGB percent as 111, or 100, 100, 100, since it covers all of the light spectrum. So just all of them. I'm gonna turn this down to a nice little 25. Okay, so now we've selected our colors. We've selected which parts of the car we want it to appear on. And we haven't saved it yet, so it's not going to take effect yet. But if we click File and then Save, it should now then kick in game. Like that. So I'm debating whether or not to do the door now, because, AC might freeze on me again. But it's worth a try just to show it. It did it again. CSP says something, we ignore it, we keep going. And so now we're just going to add the door. So get that apostrophe and comma ready. This is a previous card that we worked on. You could also light up the banner and the driver helmet. to make the driver helmet light up, it's the same idea as using Object Inspector, and then if you want something to light up, use Object Inspector, select it, and then add the mesh onto this ext_config. So where were we? We were going to add the door, copy that, go into here, paste that in, apostrophe, and then hit save. Okay, so what you're seeing now is that the whites aren't completely lighting up. So what you want to do now is that's affected by the normalization section. This one, the last part for the CustomEmissive line. So since it's on the white color, that's acting weird. Normalization pretty much chooses how much of that color it needs to be in before it highlights it. So if you put a higher number in, more of it will select more stuff, but it also runs the risk of overlapping a different part of the livery depending on how you design the livery, right? So in this case, it's just like 0.96. It gets a lot more of the whites on the car. And more completely as well, because you need to remember, once you render a livery out, you need to render an AO to give the car some shading and in some parts of it. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we have the bonnet, most of the body. I'm too afraid of trying to select another part now because it might just crash AC again, and that's gonna eat up time for you guys. So we're gonna go on to the interesting part, which is the underglow underneath it. So this part, the underglow itself, would not need it doesn't need to bind to any meshes. It's just you designate coordinates around the car and it will apply to those coordinates. Okay, since we're done with the top part, the one involving the car itself, we can just hit backspace a lot of times and bring up the last lines that I hid earlier. So it's light underscore extra underscore 1, and then / left. That's just a comment. It's not going to do anything. It's just a comment for yourself to figure out what's going on. Signature, you could take it out. I don't mind. I just like putting it there when I'm working on stuff. So it says there's several lines here. I only play with the first one. So the only ones I played with are line from, line to. Bind to headlights is pretty much means that it's going to work with your headlights turning on and off. These stuff, I mess with them. I don't know what they mean, but they change how the light looks from outside. So we're gonna go from those ones from top to bottom. This one, 0.85. This first number is from left to right of the car. So if you were, oh God. So if you were looking down from the car here, this line is 0.85, right? So 0.85 here. So on the other side, it's 0.95, I think. So 0.85, 0.95. There's going to be a point in the middle of a car that's going to be 0. And that's what you're going to be working around. 0.01 is how high it is from the car, or how high it is from the ground. So if you bring it up further, it might reach into the inside of the cabin. So I usually, for underglow like stuff, I leave it a bit low. Make it look like it's tucked underneath the side skirts. And then this last number here is front to back. So we have it as 0.8 to 0.95, minus 0.8 to 0.95. Again, in the middle of the car is going to be a 0 point there. It's a coordinate system, 3D coordinate system. So you're going to be playing with that to make it look nice for the car that you want. So for both of these lines, it's up to the car that you're driving and trying to make it work on. And then you you adapt it to that. Trial and error. This is where the check config while driving thing part comes in. So you could keep refreshing you could keep saving this file, and then TSP is just gonna keep changing what it looks like on your end. So just to demonstrate, We're gonna bring this a bit further outside the car, from 0.85 to 0.95. So it moves straight in through that side skirt, just punches through the car. Since I have the color really bright right now, it's very obvious. I don't know how many decimal points this can handle, but if we turn it into 0.1, it should move further up the car. Actually, okay, we're gonna bring it back out. I'm gonna reduce the brightness a fair bit so that you could see when it's moving in and out of the car. Okay, so bring it out of the side skirt. So this is what 0.95 looks like. It's breaching through the side skirt and it's 0.1. If we put 0.9 on the height parameter, just click save, see where it goes. It goes in through the door. I guess head level. So with what I had it earlier as 0.01, it's pretty low to the car. It might even appear right underneath the car. And then this last number is like front to back. So if you put negative 0.4, it should shorten it quite a bit. Oh, I was writing it back to front. So minus is on the back. So again, that's minus 0.4. This is minus 0.8. It goes through the middle of the rear tire, I believe, or up to there. And then, like you saw earlier, I used this to change the brightness. So this is being the fourth. Can I count? Yeah, this is the fourth line. Color. This is using a normal RGB color format. So you see this part is saying 83, 221, and 196. If we just want to double check here in this app. When you're converting stuff here, it will show you what color it thinks it is. So at least it's very helpful. And I'll just leave a link to that. Again, I'll leave the link to that in the description. So if you want the color to just be white, so we could, and 255, sorry. 255, 255, and 255. So that would give us just white underglow on this side. Like that. And then change the brightness to 0.1. It's gone. Let's try 0.9. There we go. There it is. And again, you could just change a lot of these values on the fly while you're testing everything out. See if it's working. And for the rest of the sides, it's pretty much the same thing. You just need to change the coordinates. So on the right side, it's negative 0.85. Negative 0.85, but the front to back is pretty much the same. And if you get to the rear, what you're going to be changing is the first number. So 0.85 to should be plus 85. And then keeping all of the numbers 0. Same thing with the front. Changing the first number, and then you're not changing the next two numbers for front and rear. I'm going to be leaving all of these syntaxes and the link to the converter in the description below. I'm going to be leaving it as is, as I left it here. And yeah, I hope it helps whoever needs it. Bye. One moment, I forgot something. Some cards will look really crumpled once you apply ext_config onto it. So what you need to do is open the car in CM Showroom. If it would open, thank you. Click on the body of the car. And on the right hand side, or on this control panel, wherever it might appear to you, this thing, right? On the fifth line, so name, material, textures, TX diffuse, and TX normal. If you go to the very right of that, there's 3 dots. Click on it. It says damage_chassis. This format, this name thing, changes every time for different cars. They don't have a solid format. Thanks, Kunos. Click export. This should bring you to the same folder as the car skin, and just hit save on it. And then bring up the folder. Open that up like you opened up the .dds. I'm not sure which application you use for editing your DDS files, but gotta figure that one out on your end. Some Googling would help you. Now what you do, same as earlier, pick a color. Pick the middle of the color here, the one without any blemishes on it. Click OK, and just take your brush tool, pen, whatever your application has. Just make the whole thing that central color that you picked, and your car's not gonna look crumpled anymore. This has the caveat of that if you get yellow damage on your car, if you get damage on your car at any point before it starts denting the hood, bending the body panels, you're not really gonna see it. The damage indicator is gonna show on your damage indicator, but you won't get to visually see it from the third person, if that makes sense. You'll just get to a point like if you get enough damage on the front end of the car, the bonnet just like folds on you, which is normal for when I think you get orange damage and onwards. But yeah, this just removes the crumpling issue that some cars might have. Some cars don't have it because they don't have an NM file, and that's specific to some modded cars. Most Kunos cars, I believe, has it. And depending on how you make your livery, it might not even be visible when it's crumpling. So that's something to keep in mind. So yeah, I just recorded this part last second. Well, because I forgot it earlier. Yeah, thanks. Bye.